Our next guest served as White House Chief of Staff under President George W. Bush, who called yesterday's Capitol Hill attacks an attack on our democracy. Joining us this morning is Andy Card. Andy, really appreciate your time on what's obviously a difficult day. Thank you.
I am thrilled to be with you. I'm very troubled about what happened yesterday, but I'm optimistic that America is going to rally and start polishing our democracy.
I was going to ask you right now, as you read it, was yesterday an aberrant event that will be self-corrected and denounced, or in some ways did the country change forever on Wednesday?
I pray that it will be denounced, and we will all work together to make sure that we're the best example of how a democracy can work, because the world is watching us. And if we don't do it right, bad things or even worse things will happen in other countries around the world. So yesterday was a sad day for democracy, but I'm hoping it's a wake-up call to everybody else in America so that we can work together. When I first got involved in politics, the rug of American politics had more rug than fringe. Today, there's more fringe than rug. You really can't govern well without standing on the rug. So help find the rug to stand on and give people permission to bring their views to the debate, but have the courage to stand on the rug of compromise and getting things done.
Obviously, a big part of our discussion today is the role of American business. I wonder how you think they play this. We've seen them get more vocal over the last couple of years, but where does it leave them in donating to areas that were traditionally Republican, supporting ideas that were traditionally Republican, and where does that leave them? How much of a pivot do they have to make?
Well, I think the core of the Republican Party is still a good core. I do think Donald Trump kind of stole the Republican Party and abused it and used it, or maybe he used and abused. At any rate, you know, there are some phenomenal Republican leaders out there that understand the difference. I thought Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham did a great job last night. Mitch McConnell did a wonderful job. But you also can look at our governors like Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, Chris Sununu in New Hampshire, for example. They're doing the right things. And Republicans had a phenomenal victory in the elections last November, even though Donald Trump highlighted his defeat. The truth is, Republicans did very well in state legislature races all around the country, gubernatorial races. So the party is still strong. Its ideals and principles are important, but we just can't attack the institutions of democracy the way it happened yesterday. And I was grateful for the commentary from President George W. Bush. And I'm also grateful that the Senate and the House last night stepped up and did their constitutional responsibility. We have a president-elect who will be taking the office of the presidency on noontime on January 20th, and that should be good for the marketplace, good for business. But I do say, you know, we're still going to have kind of a divided government, because I know what it's like to be in the executive branch when the Senate is tied. I watched Jim Jeffords switch parties from Republican to Democrat in 2001, and that meant I went from negotiating with Republican chairs of committee to Democrat chairs of committees in the Senate, and it was very difficult, a challenge, but we got through it, and our democracy worked, and I think we can do it today. So if I were a businessman, I would say, I understand it's going to be hard to get things done. Hard to get things done isn't necessarily bad, as long as everybody is working in good faith. And I think we can get people to work in much better faith than they did for the last 6 months.
Andy, good to see you. I haven't seen you since my old Kudlow and Kramer days.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, if you wanted to approach what is needed to have unity to go forward, what would you do? And I mention this because 74 million people voted for President Trump. A very surprising number of representatives in the House yesterday felt that they should not certify these results. Some senators did. There seems to be, I can't think of one, maybe you've got it, a way to unify the nation. I'm not asking for an end of political discussion, but I do think that yesterday we got to the point where we have to recognize we have two nations. How do you bring together two nations? Only once in our country has that ever happened, obviously, and that is in 1865.
Well, I pray that we do not fall into the trap of 1864 and 65, but instead we work to, number one, respect the nature of our democracy, and respect the different views in our democracy. Joe Biden won a phenomenal victory for President of the United States. 306 Electoral College votes, which were cast yesterday, counted and certified. And then, obviously, a phenomenal number of people who showed up to the polls to vote for him. He had a record number of people voting for him for President of the United States. The record for the second most number of people voting for a presidential candidate actually was Donald Trump in this election. So we should be celebrating that on this November of last year, a record number of people participated in our democracy, and both candidates got more votes than anybody running for president had ever received before. So both sides should respect that. I'm praying that President-elect Biden and his team will respect that 74 million people plus voted for Donald Trump, which is a huge vote. And obviously, Joe Biden got many more votes than that. I hope that they learn to respect each other. I'm asking Republicans that were on the losing side to respect the results of the election and celebrate the number of people who showed up to vote for Republicans in that election. We actually did very well at the state and local level as Republican candidates. Didn't do well at the national level.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.